My fiancé said, send your kids to boarding school so my brother can have their room, so I packed her things and watched her fantasy collapse. Subscribe so you don't miss what's next. When I first met Sarah, she was warm, full of laughter, and brought cupcakes on our third date. She asked about my kids genuinely. Leah clung to her after movie night. I remember thinking, maybe this could be it. She painted the kids' names on rocks for the garden. I held her hand under the porch lights and believed love could look like healing. I didn't see the control under the charm. Not then. She offered to help with homework and bake cookies shaped like math symbols. Leah and Ethan called her Miss Sarah with affection. She organized a mini recital for Leah's violin practice in our backyard. I saw how she looked at Jake then like he was her real project. I brushed it off. One night, she told Jake, you'll have your space soon. I thought she meant an apartment. Looking back, that was the first warning. Sarah started redecorating first, replacing the kids' bunk beds with a fold-out. For guests, she said. Leah whispered. Where's our bookshelf? Her bedtime stories sat in boxes. I noticed Jake's guitar prop by the window, his name etched on the wall calendar. My sister Amy raised an eyebrow when she visited. This place feels different, she said. I told her we were blending lives. But the kids' laughter sounded muffled that week. Something shifted quietly. She insisted we change our weekly pizza night. Too childish, she said. Leah's eyes welled up when Sarah replaced our Disney movie stack with art documentaries. You're growing up. Sarah told her. Ethan clung to my arm at bedtime. Amy noticed Jake's duffel bag in the hallway and asked, is he staying over? I lied, said it was temporary. But the dining table only had 4 chairs now. I wondered who was quietly being erased here. Jake started leaving beer bottles in the kitchen. And Sarah brushed it off. He's decompressing. Ethan asked why his crayons were moved. They're in Jake's drawer now, she said. Leah stayed longer in the bathroom. Sketspod balanced on her knees. I noticed she no longer used her room. Amy called, voice tight. Noah, something's wrong. I said I had it under control. But the hallway walls, once filled with kids' drawings, now displayed Jake's band posters. I walked in one day and found Jake sprawled on the kids' beanbag chair, video game controller in hand. It's a shared space now. Sarah said, sipping tea. Ethan stood frozen in the hallway. Leah muttered, he took my charger. Sarah laughed it off. I checked the kids' closet. Half their things were gone. Moved to storage. Amy texted, you seen this yet? I replied with a thumbs up emoji. Though my gut said something's not right. Sarah began locking the hallway bathroom, saying Jake needed privacy. Leah knocked one night, tearful. I had to pee outside, she whispered. I confronted Sarah. She said I was overreacting. That kids had to learn boundaries. Jake shrugged and said, not my fault, she's dramatic. Amy exploded on the phone. Are you kidding me? I told her I'd talk to Sarah again. But that night, Leah refused to sleep in her room. The fear was growing. Sarah snapped at Ethan for using the last roll of tape. Jake needed it, she barked. I watched Ethan hide his drawings after that. Amy dropped off a new sketchbook, whispering to Leah, draw big. Jake complained about noise, demanding quiet hours. Our home sounded more like a dorm. Sarah said it was temporary. But when I saw a mattress leaning against the wall of the kids' playroom, I knew something was being replaced permanently. Then she said it send the kids to boarding school so Jake can have their room. I stood there, stunned as she called it efficient. I said, no, not ever. Her voice went cold. You're choosing them over us, I said. I already did. That night, I boxed her things. I didn't cry. I folded the wedding invites one by one and left them by the trash. Some dreams deserve to burn. She returned the next day with Jake trailing behind, claiming he had nowhere to go. I stood in the doorway. Not my problem, I sent a Sarah cry to Jake smirked. Told you he'd cave. He muttered. I shut the door. Leah peeked from behind the couch. Is it over? She asked. I nodded. For the first time in weeks, Ethan laughed. I realized we had been holding our breath and finally exhaled. I changed the locks that night. Amy stood beside me, holding the new keys. You sure? She asked. I nodded. Sarah pounded on the door 2 days later, yelling about rights and promises. I didn't open it. Inside, Leah hung her drawing back on the fridge. Ethan rebuilt his Lego set. That evening, I wrote a new bedtime story, one where monsters get evicted, and love means staying no matter what. Sarah emailed long rambling, blaming me for ruining a future. She claimed Jake had no other family. I printed it, stapled it, and filed it under proof of clarity. Amy found me on the porch that night. You okay? She asked. I held up Leah's latest drawing. Better than okay. That picture stayed taped above the light switch, our new symbol of peace. No more bargaining with chaos. We had drawn our line. A week later, Leah asked if she could redecorate her room. All yours, I said. She painted stars on the wall. Ethan added planets. Amy brought over cupcakes. We celebrated not a breakup, but a return. I tucked the kids in that night and sat in the hallway, lights dimmed, heart steady. We didn't just survive. We reclaimed something. And that feeling steady earned, ours was more sacred than any wedding vow ever promised. I thought we were done. But 2 weeks later, I got a call. Jake had listed our address on a rental application, claiming residency. I called the agency, furious. They faxed over a forged lease with Sarah's digital signature. I marched into the office and filed a formal dispute. Leah overheard and asked, are they coming back? I said, not if I can help it. My trust had been weaponized. But now I was building a shield. Jake showed up with a box truck, saying he was just grabbing his stuff. I called the cops. He cursed, said Sarah promised him the room. The officer asked for proof. Jake had none. You're trespassing, I said. Leah watched from the window, clutching her sketchbook. Amy hugged Ethan inside. I realized Sarah never wanted a family. She wanted a stage where Jake could play Prince, and she thought I'd be dumb enough to clap. A letter arrived from Sarah's lawyer claiming shared tenancy expectations. I laughed, then I called my own. Turns out Sarah had tried to co-sign our mortgage without telling me. My lawyer flagged it as fraud. Amy helped me gather paperwork. Leah drew a comic strip of Jake being sucked into a void labeled consequences. We framed it. I told the lawyer, I want her name off everything. My house, my kids, my terms now. Jake tried to apply for utilities using our address. The company called me, confused. I sent them the police report from the trespass incident. They flagged his name. Amy found his online post looking for roommates, using photos of Leah's room. I felt sick. We reported it. Leah started sleeping with her door locked. I bought her a new lock and stayed in the hallway until she fell asleep. I've got you, I whispered. Always will. Sarah showed up at Amy's place, demanding to talk. Amy recorded it. I made that family better, Sarah hissed. Amy sent me the clip. I forwarded it to my lawyer. We filed for a restraining order. Leah cried less after that. Ethan started humming again. Sarah's fantasy collapsed under its own weight. I saw her once, across a parking lot. She looked through me like a stranger. I nodded. She was one now finally. Jake tried suing me for lost opportunity. The judge dismissed it in minutes. I brought the kids to the ice cream parlor afterward. What are we celebrating? Leah asked. Freedom, I said. She added sprinkles. Amy handed me a small envelope. It was Sarah's apology letter. I didn't read it, just tore it up. You're not curious? Amy asked. No, I said. I'm finally full. And I was of peace, of laughter, of something Sarah never gave. Leah came home from school silent. Her teacher said Sarah had shown up at pickup, claiming she was stepmom. The principal intervened. I filed another report. Amy helped me change our emergency contacts. That night, Leah asked, is she gone forever? I knelt beside her. Yes, and no one decides that but us. We bought matching bracelets the next day. 3 stars, one for each of us, our bond. Unbreakable, our home, sealed from invaders now. Amy found Sarah's blog posts painting herself as a betrayed fiancée raising her brother alone. She claimed I abandoned a blended family plan. The lies stung, but the photos one showed Leah's art, cropped to hide her name. I contacted the platform. They took it down. Leah saw me slam the laptop shut. They're still watching? She asked. I nodded. But we're ready now. We turned off the lights early that night, but slept with no fear. Ethan asked why Jake once called him a guest. I froze. You're never a guest in your home, I said. Later, I found a toy box labeled storage in the garage. Sarah had moved their things months ago. I unpacked every item with the kids. These are ours, Leah whispered. Amy painted a sign above their door. Home isn't borrowed. The next morning, Ethan hugged me tighter. The war was invisible but we were winning. A package arrived with no sender. Inside was Sarah's ring, the one I'd returned. A note read, thought you might want closure. I burned it in the fireplace. Leah tossed in the ribbon. Hi liar lady, Ethan said. We roasted marshmallows afterward. Amy brought sparklers to endings. She said, I raised mine and better beginnings. The backyard glowed that night, not with regret, but resolve. Our family had weathered the storm. The smoke smelled like freedom. Sarah's mother called first time ever. I'm sorry, she said. I enabled her. We all did. I listened silent. She asked if Leah was okay. Better, I replied. She mailed a care package, books, apology notes, a tiny hand-sewn star pillow. Leah kept it. She's not her mom. She said, that weekend, we planted flowers in the garden, new ones. Ethan labeled them Truth, Brave, ours. The past still rang, but the soil felt different now. Amy showed me a local support group flyer. Families rebuilding after toxic ties. I hesitated, then went. One man shared how his partner raised his kids slowly. I felt seen. I spoke to, told them about Sarah, Jake, the drawings, the silence. They nodded. One woman cried. You saved them, she said. I hadn't heard it like that before. That night I tucked the kids in. Then wrote my own flyer. Survivors build stronger homes. We started new traditions. Friday taco night, Ethan's playlist mornings, Leah's silent movie Sundays. The house sounded like us again. Amy joined sometimes, bringing board games and sarcasm. We laughed louder. A delivery arrived. Sarah's wedding dress, returned from the shop. Wrong address. I stared at the box. Then Leah drew a superhero cape on it. Trash or treasure, she asked. Lesson, I said. We donated it. Sometimes closure doesn't arrive. Sometimes we make it leave. Jake posted online that he was cheated out of a home. His rant went viral for all the wrong reasons. People dug up his past fraud, arrests, evictions. Amy read the comments aloud. Leah asked, will he try again? I answered, not with those locks and that truth. We added a new sign to the front door. We protect peace here. Ethan taped his drawing of a dragon beside it. No more uninvited monsters ever again. I bumped into Sarah's ex at the grocery store. He asked if she'd pull the brother move on me too. My jaw tightened. She tried, I said. He nodded. She did it to us all. He had 2 daughters. We talked for 20 minutes, shared pain, shared survival. Leah found us laughing. Who's that? She asked. Someone who understands, I replied. There's something healing about knowing you're not the only one who fought that storm. Ethan asked if we could get a dog, only if it likes chaos. I joked. We visited the shelter. Leah picked a quiet mutt with one floppy ear. He looks like he's been through something, she said. We named him Chance. That night, Chance curled up at the foot of Leah's bed. She whispered, he gets it? I turned off the light and smiled. Maybe healing doesn't roar, maybe it tiptoes in with muddy paws. The last message Sarah sent was a photo Jake in rehab, her holding a sign trying again. No words. I didn't reply, just deleted it. Amy raised a toast that night to no more second chances for those who stole first ones. Leah drew a family tree with a blank branch labeled what we learned. Ethan said, that love isn't loud, it shows up. I watched them laugh, Chance wagging beside them. This was peace. Earned. Looking back, I see all the signs I ignore, each one wrapped in charm. Sarah wasn't building a family, she was replacing one. The house is still cluttered, still loud, but now it's safe. Leah dances again, Ethan sings off-key, Amy visits every Friday. The garden blooms, every rock painted by tiny hands. We didn't just survive Sarah, we grew beyond her. Peace isn't the absence of noise, it's the presence of love, you never have to question. Every drawing Leah tapes to the fridge feels like a win. Every hug from Ethan reminds me what we fought for. I kept Sarah's last letter unopened, not out of anger, but closure doesn't come from others. It's earned through staying, through rebuilding. Amy once said, you made a home under siege. She was right. Now, we guard it together. Healing isn't flashy, sometimes it's just showing up. Night after night, and saying this love stays. Sarah moves states, Jake stayed in rehab. No one visits. The silence is its own justice. Leah got a school award. Ethan made the soccer team. Amy baked a cake. We celebrated just us. No drama, no ghosts that day. I framed their old drawings again, this time, not as memory but as proof love never left. It was just waiting to be seen again. We held a backyard movie night, blankets, popcorn, laughter. The screen flickered across faces I'd nearly lost. Leah's new drawing glowed under the porch light. House. Stars, 3 stick figures and a dog. That's us, she said. And it was not broken, just different, stronger. I whispered, this is our ending. But Ethan corrected me, grinning, no dad, this is our beginning. Thanks for watching, hit subscribe to check out more stories on my channel.